Under the spiritual political revolution ushered in by Guru Nanak Sahib, Sikhs became empowered to be the makers of their own destinies. The fearless and courageous attitude instilled by the Guru's Shabad inspired Sikhs to establish unwavering resilience and self-sovereignty. This is the spirit embodied by the story of Maharani Jind Kaur. Popularly known as Rani Jind, she carved her name for herself in Sikh history. Though colonial narratives tend to misinterpret her in gendered ways, she became known as Rani Ma, or Queen Mother, by various European and native contemporary writers because of her stature and leadership. But her fame was derived chiefly from the concern she evoked in the British, who described her as the Messalina of Panjab, a person too rebellious to be controlled. Jind Kaur was the third daughter of Manna Singh and Mataji Kaur. Born in the village Chicharwali of Sialkot district, Gujranwala, Sikh Empire, now Pakistan. In 1835, at the age of 18, she married the first Maharaja of the Panjab, Ranjit Singh. On June 27, 1839, when Maharaja Ranjit Singh passed away, he left the throne of the Lahore Darbar to the prolonged struggle for control. During the struggle, Jind Kaur and her son Duleep Singh lived a life of obscurity while successive heirs were assassinated in a series of events. In September 1843, the Khalsa army proclaimed 5-year-old Duleep Singh the sovereign of the state. Gradually, Jind Kaur assumed the role of regent to the minor Maharaja and set her political history in motion. She was remarkable in how she discarded Sati and Porda, dominant at the time, and led the courts, had meetings with chief ministers and the armies. All of them were taking her counsel. The Khalsa army panchayats treated Jind Kaur with respect and addressed her as Mai Sahib, respected mother. With the backing of the Khalsa army panchayat, she proclaimed herself the regent. As Queen Regent, the Maharani gained complete control of Lahore Darbar, grew in confidence, developed her style of politics, and ably manipulated gender conventions. The Maharani used and reached beyond the identities imposed on her to lead in her own way. The Maharani reconstituted the Ministers' Council by giving representation to the principal Sardars and restoring a balance between the army panchayat and the civil administration of the Darbar. She also directed Wazir Raja Hira Singh to prioritize revenue collection to remedy the financial situation. Hira Singh's popularity slowly faded because of the misadventures and attacks on certain revered Sikhs within the community. Hira Singh and his advisor were eventually killed in December 1844. The Maharani seized this moment and lobbied for her brother, Jawad Singh, to fill the position of Hira Singh. Though all the ministers and army panchayat did not favor it, Jawad Singh was formally promoted to a wazir. Jind Kaur agreed to pay the army a higher salary to mitigate their discontent with the decision and further consolidate her position. She also betrothed Duleep Singh to the well-respected Adari family, who held considerable influence over the army. When Konwar Peshora Singh attempted to revolt against the Maharani, Jawad Singh was believed to be instrumental in getting him killed. This angered the army, and Jawad Singh was ordered to present himself in front of the army panchayat in September 1845. The Maharani pled before the panchayat alongside her brother. However, Jawad Singh was eventually killed in front of the Maharani and young Duleep Singh in the cantonment of Mian Mir near Lahore. Her brother's death had a significant impact on the Maharani. Many historians have accused the Maharani of wishing for the destruction of the Khalsa army and actively conspiring with the British through the Darbar representative. Dr. Ganda Singh, in his work on the private correspondence relating to the Anglo-Sikh War, quoted Governor-General Lord Ellenborough as saying, "The mother of the boy Maharaja Duleep Singh seems to be a woman of determined course, and she is the only person apparently at Lahore who has courage." In Maharani's history against the British, it is clear that she reluctantly entertained diplomacy to preserve power for her son. In response to the British buildup across the Satluj River, the Sikh army crossed the river to claim it as their territory. The British regarded the act as hostile and used it as an opportunity to declare war on the Sikh kingdom. The Sikhs lost the First Anglo-Sikh War. The Peace Treaty of Lahore was signed in 1846, putting the British in control over the size of the Sikh army. At the request of the Lahore Darbar, a supplementary treaty also allowed British forces to remain in Lahore until the end of the year to protect the Maharaja and the inhabitants of the city of Lahore during the Sikh army's reorganization. Maharani Jind Kaur agreed to retain British troops in the city as long as the British government did not exercise any interference in the Lahore state's internal administration. But to her dismay, during their stay of 9 months, the British won over most of the Darbar ministers with promises of grants, titles, positions, and other favors. By this time, the Maharani had totally lost control of the Darbar and its council of ministers. Although Rani Jind continued to act as a regent of Maharaja Duleep Singh and Raja Lal Singh remained wazir, effective power was vested in the resident minister Henry Montgomery Lawrence. Maharani Jind Kaur did not like the continuous process of power slipping away from her hands. She firmly opposed the Treaty of Bedawal. It placed the administration of Punjab entirely into the hands of the resident minister with full authority to direct and control all matters in the department of the state. Maharani Jind Kaur did all she could to stop this arrangement. During the last day or two, her whole energies have been devoted to an endeavor to win over the Sardars of high and low order and to unite them all together in a scheme of an independent government of which she was to be the head. Her relentless plans to maintain control and subvert colonial rule struck fear into the British, so their first condition for concluding the Treaty of Bedawal was that she be removed from power. Consequently, Maharani Jind Kaur had to surrender political power to the Council of Ministers appointed by the British resident. The Regent Maharani was dismissed with an annuity of 1,50,000, and an officer of the company's artillery department became, in effect, the successor to Ranjit Singh. During this period, Rani Jind is alleged to have hatched a conspiracy with some Sikh chiefs to assassinate the British resident minister Henry Montgomery Lawrence and Tej Singh, who was heading the Darbar. This plot to assassinate the duo became known as the Prema plot. Though the attempt was unsuccessful, it proved the ability of the Maharani to pull off a surprise attack on the British and the extent to which she would go to secure her position. The British administration viewed this as a threat to their power. So, although neither of the charges against the Maharani could be substantiated, she was banished to Sheikhpura in September 1847. Her allowance was reduced to rupees 48,000. Her banishment helped the British achieve 2 goals. First, it separated the Maharani from her son, the young Maharaja, thereby making it easier to condition and rear the Maharaja as per their own wishes. Second, it eliminated any further chances of upheaval. In March 1848, the Maharani was accused of another attempt to corrupt the soldiers under British command. Though her direct involvement could not be proven, the British believed Maharani Jind Kaur was the instigator and advisor of the soldiers' schemes and plots. Consequently, on the instruction of Lord Dalhousie, she was moved from Sheikhpura to Firozpur and from there to Banaras, where she remained under strict surveillance. She was strictly forbidden to communicate with anyone from Punjab. The Maharani's removal from Punjab became a rallying point among the Sikh soldiery and one of the most critical factors contributing to the Second Anglo-Sikh War. She helped the rebels fight against the British. Unfortunately, a few of her letters got intercepted. In response, the British transferred her from Banaras to the heavily guarded fort of Junod, where she was closely watched. The Second Anglo-Sikh War resulted in the annexation of Punjab. On April 19, 1849, the Maharani escaped from the fort disguised as a servant. Her escape astonished the British. A court of inquiry was set up the next day, which could not establish how the Maharani had escaped. She left a letter in the fort which stated, "You put me in the cage and locked me up. For all your locks and your sentries, I got out by my magic. I had told you plainly not to punish me too hard. But don't think I ran away. Understand well that I escaped by myself unaided." The British then proclaimed Maharani Jind Kaur an offender. Police posts were alerted everywhere. To avoid an arrest, she escaped to Nepal, arriving in Kathmandu on April 29, 1849. Jang Bahadur, Nepal's prime minister, granted her asylum as a mark of respect to the memory of the late Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Rani Jind Kaur's escape to Nepal did not deter her from trying to establish contacts in Punjab. With the help of a few faithful on her end, she re-established links with Punjab rebels detained in Allahabad fort. She also established connections with Bhai Maharaj Singh in Jammu and Kashmir, who was still actively fighting against the British government. After receiving a verbal message from Maharaja Duleep Singh, she began to explore the possibility of slipping into Jammu and Kashmir. Before Maharani Jind Kaur could leave Nepal, her correspondence with Maharaja Duleep Singh was also discovered. The Governor-General immediately instructed his resident in Nepal to lodge a strong protest with the Darbar and also to inform the Maharani that if she tried to enter British territory, she would be seized and imprisoned even more severely than she had been previously. Maharani Jind Kaur was confined for 12 long years within the boundaries of Jang Bahadur's Tapatali Palace in Kathmandu, Nepal. Meanwhile, Maharaja Duleep Singh, her son, was converted to Christianity in 1853 under British influence and exiled to Britain in 1854. The Maharani finally managed to establish a connection with her son through her agents in Patna and Amritsar. The connection continued undetected until it became public in 1856. In 1857, Indian mutiny broke out, during which many of Maharani's loyalists were arrested, particularly those who allegedly entered Punjab frequently. The Governor-General used these circumstances to allow the Maharani to openly contact her son, since it would keep her distracted, busy, and away from actively participating in the mutiny. Towards the end of 1860, the nearly blind Maharani was informed that her son, Maharaja Duleep Singh, was returning to India and that she could visit him in Calcutta. When they finally met in April 1861, the Maharani is said to have touched his head and was shocked to find that he no longer had long hair. Distraught, she questioned him with concern. In response, he narrated his life without mentioning his mother and heritage. The Maharani's presence around her son in India troubled the British. Therefore, they ordered them to leave for England in the first week of May. In England, the Maharani insisted on staying with her son, which was granted. In his mother's company, Maharaja Duleep Singh gained a Sikh perspective on the annexation of Punjab by the British. He also became aware of the workings through which he separated from his mother and the violent treatment she received by the British in the period she was away from him. Over the course of a year, the Maharani exposed Duleep Singh to his Sikh heritage, the legacy of his great father, the lost glory of his kingdom, and the invincible spirit of the Khalsa, which formed the backbone of his sovereign rule. With Maharani's guidance, he gradually became warm towards his history, heritage, and faith. He started to learn about Sikhi and reconnect with his cousin, Sardar Thakur Singh Sandhavalia, to aid his return to Sikhi. Even though the British crushed his plan to return to Punjab and re-embrace Sikhi, he returned to Sikhi in the presence of Sikh Granthi Pratap Singh Gyani in Aden. Rani Jind Kaur is a significant factor in Duleep Singh's final return to Sikhi. Jind Kaur passed away on August 1, 1863, 2 years after she walked into Kensington Gardens. With her death, the sun set on the marvelous, courageous, and daring life of a Maharani, who never gave up on her quest for sovereignty and self-rule, even during the most testing times or under the most tragic and hopeless circumstances.